I think you're a little closer than I anticipated.
He likes it. He likes it.
Hello and welcome to a very special Thursday night episode of the Wisco Fanatics. Jake and I are both rocking fan locks today. So today is all about the Packers. We are live from the Green Bay Parker Johns, and pretty busy in here actually. But today is all about the Packers. We're going to start off. I got a few trivia questions to throw out there, and then we're going to do recap of the Packers win over the Cardinals. We're going to preview their matchup with the Chiefs. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. We're going to talk about Jordan Love. We're going to talk about Matt LaFleur. And during the show, I will be eating cheese curds because they are good. So you can talk for a little bit.
Okay. So with these trivia questions, we got both of our dads here. So I'm interested to see if they know any of these trivia questions. Because growing up, my brother Curtis and I, we saw Curtis take pies yesterday. It seemed like my dad knew everything. So growing up, that was part of the reason why, I really wanted to do this on my head, because I always wanted to have all the answers to everything. So I'm really, really looking forward to the trivia question. Because Tyler didn't send them to me. So I'm actually
you might. If our dads answer before you answer the trivia questions, you might be in trouble.
I might be in big trouble, man.
Maybe I'll bring your dad.
You could do that.
All right. So my first Packers trivia question was, Packers for the first time in franchise history had a 300-yard passer, a 200-yard receiver, and a 100-yard rusher in the same game. Who was their opponent in that game?
I know they was.
The first time they had this?
Yeah, it happened this year. Who did they play against when they did that for the first time?
See if people in the comments can beat them to that one, too.
Just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah? A couple weeks ago.
Oh, Cincinnati.
All right, there we go. Jake's dad got it first. All right. I was against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm trying to think of the game, man.
It took a little bit, but you got it. All right. Second trivia question. This one, people at home might be able to look it up faster than people here know it. How many touchdown passes does Aaron Rodgers have this year?
Oh, God, I think I know the total. I'm going to let them go first. 18.
Close.
So 18, 16.
Nope.
17.
That's 17. Yeah, split down the middle.
Right in the
I
middle.
knew it. I think I looked at it.
My dad gets 18. Jake's dad gets 16. Split them in the middle at 17. All right, this is a tougher one. I'd be impressed if anybody knows this one, although we haven't to tell anybody. How many receptions does Davante Adams need to become number one in Packers history in receptions?
Oh, God. I just saw this.
77.
Or higher.
God, I just saw this, too. I'm pissed. I don't know.
I can see it happening next year. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I can see it happening next year.
Take a wild guess, Pops.
Donald Driver has 743. Davante Adams has
94.
145. Davante Adams has 598. Interesting thing about Davante Adams, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only team in the league, besides obviously the Packers, that Davante Adams does not have a reception against.
That's interesting.
I cover trivia and fun facts.
How many games has he played?
He hasn't played it. I don't think he played against the Chiefs yet.
Probably one, I would assume, right? Didn't he play when we played 2 years ago?
He might have been also.
Was he out? I missed that game. Huh. I find it hard to believe if he played the game that he didn't have a single reception.
Yeah, that's true. I just remember two things from that game. Mahomes didn't play,
Yep.
and Rodgers threw that dime to Jamal Williams in the end zone. That was crazy.
That was like racking the back.
That was a crazy.
Okay, last trivia question. The Packers won 7 straight games after a 30-point loss. How many times does this happen in NFL history?
4 times. Well, 3 times, and the Packers are the 4th.
Right, and the Packers are the 3rd.
Packers are the 3rd? I thought it was the 4th.
Packers are the 3rd team. The other 2 teams that did it,
Both went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
both won.
Almost
Won
a
the
count.
Super Bowl.
1976 Raiders, they won the Super Bowl, and the 1994 49ers, and they won the Super Bowl.
I knew it was 90s.
You see what I did here? You see what I did here?
What'd you do?
I made all the trivia questions based on past quotes on the Wisco Fanatics page.
This guy.
All right, so we're gonna jump into the recap here. Oh, look at that! Michael had it. 3 49ers Raiders. Good job, Mike.
Hey, Michael, you're just better than me now? Okay.
Good job, Mike. All right, so we're gonna jump into the recap.
I didn't know if he was low, so just think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the Packers offense versus the Cardinals defense, and let's get into the recap. So let's talk about Packers offense versus Cardinals defense.
All right, so Packers offense versus Cardinals defense. We didn't have any wide receivers, so you knew the game plan was going to be run the ball some more. They're going to play that shell defense. They're going to keep everything in front of them. And foreshadowing, I expect the same game plan to be happening this next week against the Chiefs. And if you've watched any Chiefs games, that's exactly what they're doing to the Chiefs too. They're just keeping everything in front of them because they're so big play oriented. And, since MVS has been out, we really don't have a guy to stretch the field. Devontae was the other option with that. A lot of our guys are just underneath kind of guys. Lazard, Cobb, in his advanced age, I'll say. Our tight ends, we don't really push them up the field. We did Tanyan on the last play of the year for him, which was really, really sad because he finally got a big, long gain. But just run the ball, control the clock. That's what they did. A.J. Dillon had a very, very good game. I still, to this day, do not understand why he did not get a goal line touch. I don't understand that. Aaron Jones had a really, really nice goal line carry and pushed Isaiah Simmons into the end zone. The next one he ran into 3 humans. I don't know about you, but I would like the extra 20 pounds on a guy to try to fall forward. He was averaging 5 yards a carry. Why not just give him the ball?
You made a good point with that, too, that pound for pound, that Aaron Jones might be the strongest running back in the NFL.
Dude.
And A.J. Dillon has gotten the ball knocked out of his hands a couple times the last couple games.
That's the other part
I
of it.
know,
A.J. Dillon.
but
especially at goal line.
But why would you hire a Clydesdale if you're not going to use him, man? Get on the back. He's huge.
Once he cleans that up a little bit more, I'm sure they will. And right now, you got Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I know that too.
And Braylon Allen is the same way with the back.
I know. Remember what I said on the show? I said it might be their biceps are too big. They can't put the ball all the way in there.
Courtney said the fan locks look good on Jake.
Hey, thank you. I'm thinking about growing out some real ones. Not really.
So my dad asked, Amari didn't have his coming out party yet. He would be, if we're talking about like players who disappointed, Amari Rodgers would be in mine. I don't know if he would be for you too, but
yeah, dude.
How did you feel about Amari Rodgers?
Winfrey looked like he was taking all his playing time. Amari Rodgers missed one route with Aaron Rodgers, right? He missed one route. He was in the wrong place at one time. I know, but Winfrey was able to make up for it because he's always in the right spot at least. You know what I mean? But the history of Aaron Rodgers. If you're in the wrong spot and he doesn't like you,
you get the stare.
Yeah, you're just gonna be sitting in the doghouse until he lets you out.
Yeah, you get the stare.
I mean, Amari Rodgers is still a work in progress. I'm still hoping that Randall Cobb can teach him the ins and outs and the timing of things. That's really the biggest thing coming in the NFL is the timing of stuff. I mean, if you ask Justin Field, I'm sure the timing of the NFL, the speed of the NFL has really sped up for him.
Catches up there.
He looks terrible. But Amari Rodgers, he'll get his due. I just don't know if it's going to be this year. We'll see if he's the kick returner now. He might be the kick returner. Yeah,
well, that's something like with a scout team. Matt LaFleur talked about that a lot. With the scout team, that they take opposing offenses, plays, and such, and they put it into the Packers scouting team into terms that the Packers use, so that while Love is simulating that he's, say, the Chiefs' offense, for example, that he's running plays the way that the Packers would call them, and that's something that Matt LaFleur talked a lot about with Jordan Love coming into this season during this offseason, was that he got better at just asserting his play calling, like literally calling the plays, and then being familiar with the playbook, and then being more assertive in the huddle, which is something that Aaron Jones mentioned about Jordan Love, that he's more assertive in the huddle and he's more authoritative and he's more comfortable. And yeah, Jordan Love, that's going to be an interesting thing. But sticking on the recap, Packers in the first half were inside the 5-yard line twice. Only got 3 points.
Yeah. That could have cost us, man. And then they threw that dumb pass after they called that Jones touchdown back. They threw that stupid pass, and Tyler texted me. And you know what? Do you remember what you said to me?
Which one?
The last 4th down pass.
No.
Where it got batted down.
No.
Tyler literally said to me, and I was like, oh, damn, that's a good point. He said the one time Rodgers doesn't pump fake. Literally, when Rodgers runs out, he pump fakes 99% of the time. The one time he doesn't is when it gets batted down. He gives a pump fake, he gets waltzed into the end zone.
Yep. Just like the Rams game.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Exactly.
Corey Littleton, he threw a pump fake and he walked
after
in.
you pump fake, you said that?
Talking about that play, how'd they overturn that?
I have no idea. They never overturned it.
Especially if it's called a touchdown.
They saw where the ball was.
There's no way.
That's 99% of the time. That's a play where they look at it and they go and they say the call stands,
I
no matter how it was called.
I said the Packers aren't scoring. I said because it takes all the energy out of you.
It was just like in the Washington game when Heineke scored that touchdown. They called it back, and he did the Lambeau leap. He was in an emotional high. They didn't score after that.
You can't turn emotion on that fast.
No.
You got adrenaline. I mean,
it's different as an emotional standpoint if they had not scored the touchdown and then challenged it and didn't get it,
right?
As opposed to having it and then having it reversed,
right? I've never seen them overturn a touchdown when they call it on the field. That's crazy to me, man.
Like I said, 99% of the time it's going to stand.
But the refs are on our side, remember? The refs are on our side. So.
Packers get all the ref help.
Yep.
When Shannon Sullivan gets called for defensive holding.
Dude, they're so inconsistent with this.
It's really bad.
Rasul Douglas got called for a really bad one against Washington.
Ask Eric Stokes how he felt about being helped by the officiating in the San Francisco game.
Yeah, that's a flag.
That's pass interference. The guy fell down, so that's got to be pass interference.
Yeah, he's athletic. He jumps really high and runs fast, and he fell down. So, yep, something definitely happened. 100% agree.
So, one thing that the Packers need to clean up, and this is something that you can apply to the Badgers too, is they need to stop hurting themselves. So the turnovers, the penalties, those have to go away. Literally the first play of the game, Packers got a penalty. So they're backed up, they're on 1st and 18 in their first drive, and they punted. And then the Packers need to be better at capitalizing on turnovers. They got the Rondale Moore punt that was muffed, and they, like I said, the 2 trips inside the red zone in the first half only came away with 3 points. As far as A.J. Dillon not getting any carries inside the 5, you can find him on Twitter. You don't have to on Twitter and find him, but it was a really big, like 8 or 9 guys basically lined up, and they're like, okay, the Packers are going to try to run the ball. They don't have any wide receivers, so we can just guard them one-on-one. And Randall Cobb was really the only useful wide receiver in the red zone. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Why didn't they use Tanyan more before he got hurt? I just don't understand what happened. He scored all those touchdowns in the red zone last year.
Why didn't you use Mercedes Lewis in the red zone? He's probably one of the most short-handed guys on the team.
There's a lot of options. You can use EQ. He's big. Why can't you throw a fade?
EQ had 1 pass that he caught in the red zone.
I know, but that was on that 4th down where he ran that little all route. But why can't you do that in the end zone? I don't understand.
I really thought EQ would have been more involved because he was on the team last year and he actually has some experience with Rodgers.
True.
So the only other play call that I really had issues with was, I know I texted you, was a 3rd and 5, and they ran a wide receiver screen to Aaron Jones. Yep. So it's 3rd and 5, and you go backwards with the ball. That to me was a questionable play call. But other than that, I had no complaints about Matt LaFleur's play calling in this game.
Okay. I don't want to get too petty, but I saw that there was Packers fans, dogging Matt LaFleur's coaching and dogging Aaron Rodgers' play because he had under 200 yards. Stop, okay? Do you understand the circumstances that we went into this game with? No defensive coordinator, the number of players that we have on IR. I mean, no top 3 receivers, like on a short week going out west, and they say going out west is harder than going out east. So,
that's short week. Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I picked the Packers to lose this game, but I'm glad they won.
Yeah, it's incredible what they were able to put together. I mean, we have a really, really good coach. LaFleur still has some things to clean up. He's doing a phenomenal job overall. But Rodgers' game, him being able to control that entire game, I'm going to be honest, is like 90% of the reason that we won the game. The defense made plays, but Aaron Rodgers controlled that entire game on the offensive side. Made all the right checks, made all the right throws. Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal.
And we'll talk about the run game too, especially when we get into the preview and how important it is. I'm going to throw a stat out there that applies to 6 of the past games. But Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit for coming into a short week and having guys ready to play. Just to have guys ready to play.
Yeah.
I mean, Juwan Winfrey and Amari Rodgers, Dominique Gaffney coming up by having all those guys ready to go in just a matter of a couple of days. Like, Matt LaFleur deserves some credit for that. Then the second half, they get the interception on the first possession by Arizona, and they went and get a touchdown right away. The second try, they went and get a touchdown. There's 4 consecutive touchdowns scored in this game between the Packers and the Cardinals. And at the end, they got the turnover on downs. You need to get points there. That play, there was people calling for LaFleur on that one because he went for it on 4th down. But when you're up 27-24, being up 30-24 doesn't really do you a lot of good.
No.
Because a touchdown still wins the game for the other team.
And you have to make them drive the whole field.
And you have to make a drive the whole field. That's a good point, too.
That's what I thought. That's why I would have went for. I would have went for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have called a pass. I don't know if I have enough balls to call a pass, but I would have probably ran it.
But, I mean, either way, like going for that fourth down is the right call there because you're setting yourself up. Like Jake said, you're backing them up against the one. They have to go 99 yards to score. A field goal only ties the game, whereas if you kick a field goal, you're up 6. A touchdown and a field goal wins the game for Arizona.
Yeah.
So they didn't get the touchdown, obviously, but, I mean, the call is no bad thing. And the drive that got them there, even though they didn't come away with points, took 7 minutes and 22 seconds off the clock.
That's
a long drive.
That's what I'm talking about with Rodgers, man. He milked that clock.
That's
on the right
long
checks, man.
drive.
He was doing everything.
So Rodgers was frustrated by some drops. My dad mentioned Winfrey had a drop. Amari Rodgers had a drop pass and then one where he ran the wrong route. Rodgers was expecting him to come out flatter. Rodgers took more of a post-type route. But you want to talk about some stars of this game?
Yeah. You want me to start at 3?
Yeah, start at 3. Give me your 3, 2, 1.
So my 3 stars. Number 3, I have 2 players. It's the running backs. Like I said, A.J. Dillon, he was running tough, 5 yards carry. He was really grinding out yards, running people over the tree trunk legs. And Aaron Jones, man, he had 15 carries, 59 yards. He lifted a linebacker into the end zone. That was sweet. He's a linebacker, defensive end combo kind of guy, and he had 7 catches for 51 yards. With Devontae missing last week, and now Rodgers missing this week, Aaron Jones is going to get very close to Tyler's reception number, and he might explode and go way over it. I keep thinking about that. I wanted to look that up.
That's one of my bold predictions I might actually get right because
he's going to get it.
Devontae Adams is not breaking Randy Moss's touchdown.
No. I thought he would at the beginning, but
he's missing a game hurts too. But I mean, now he's just back to 16 games. But.
Right, but Aaron Jones is definitely going to break that 65 reception number.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I remember. My second star is Aaron Rodgers. Like I've talked about him a lot. He had a great game. He controlled everything, made the right checks, called the lines.
We called out time of possession as a key to the game.
Yeah, we did. I mean, that was obviously key with missing wide receivers. We're not going to have a lot of big plays. They weren't going to allow that. So Rodgers taking what the defense gives him is something that Mahomes has to learn. Mahomes talks about how he watches Rodgers. Well, sometimes he's got to take that check down, and he's not used to that. And he's been in the NFL for this is 4th year now. He's used to just going deep. Rodgers, obviously been in the league for a lot longer, understands to take those little chunks, 4 yards at a time, methodically march your way down the field, and hopefully you run A.J. Dillon on the goal line. But anyways.
All right, my number 1. This is going to be a good transition. So
okay.
We have the same number 1.
I knew
transition.
it.
Okay.
I knew it.
So my number 3 and number 2 were A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, and for the reasons that Jake mentioned. A.J. Dillon did actually have one more carry than Aaron Jones in this game, but Aaron Jones, those 7 receptions, that's huge in a game like Jake said when you don't have Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard. For Aaron Jones to get 7 receptions out of the backfield, obviously he lined up as a receiver a couple times, but to be there and useful in that way is one of the reasons that I say Aaron Jones is the 3rd best dual threat running back in the league after Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, if McCaffrey gives you a hurt, you could probably move Jones up to 2 because he plays every week.
Aaron Jones is terrible. All right, so we're gonna move into this because we have same number 1. So now I'll go ahead with your number 1.
Okay. My number 1 is Rasul Douglas. He had the game of his life. He had revenge on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting released from them. Not too many weeks ago, we just picked him up off the practice squad. He had 9 tackles, all solo
Team leading 9 tackles.
2 passes defense, and obviously the interception at the end where A.J. Green was thinking about the game-winning interview or something. I don't know what he was doing, why he was looking.
He was blocking for a run play?
He was looking the wrong way. Like, I have no idea what A.J. Green was doing on that play, but Rasul Douglas.
That's surprising for a veteran, too.
It is.
A.J. Green's a veteran. Like, I could see Rondale Moore doing something like that. He's a rookie.
Right.
But for that to happen to A.J. Green.
Obviously, here something different.
I guess, but you've been in the NFL how long?
Man, you can maybe chalk that up to. There were a lot of Packer fans at that game. So I mean, if there's noise coming from Packers fans when they're playing defense, I mean, we posted it on the page. You could hear "Go Pack Go" chants.
Yeah, that was
coming from Arizona Stadium.
That was awesome.
That's crazy.
Packers always travel well. We have the best fans in the business, man.
So one of Jake's keys to the game was limiting big plays, and the Packers did that very well. The guy that I was keeping an eye on was Rondale Moore. They contained him pretty well, and they really, really did a great job containing Kyler Murray.
They had the one big play that I can only think of. Is the
big play to Hopkins.
That was it. And everybody was getting on Stokes. But I'm like, dude, he was a rookie. He just got – I mean, that's
going against DeAndre Hopkins.
That's Hopkins. Hopkins made him look like he was going to catch the ball. And in college, and the speed in the NFL, you're going to be like, oh, ball? Okay, I'm going to look for the ball. And then Hopkins understood the speed, that he had the speed to catch up to that ball. Mm-hmm. And maybe because he tried to run so fast, so he retweaked the hamstring, so he left the game. But
he might not play
one of your stars could have been the defensive line.
We talk a lot about Dean Lowry.
What you just said about containing Murray.
Mm-hmm. No, we talk about Dean Lowry all the time. We talk about Kenny Clark all the time. Dean Lowry's the man this year, dude.
I know how much you love Lancaster.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he gets the whole way.
I agree with that. We could probably plug anybody in right now. They'd be better than Lancaster.
We could put Slayton in there. I'd be all right with that.
Slayton's actually looked all right in a couple of plays I've seen him. He doesn't get on the field too often, but.
So we limited an offense that scores 32 points plus per game to 21 points, and Kyler Murray only had 21 rushing yards.
They only had 74 as a team.
74 rushing yards as a team.
The Packers still haven't given up a 100-yard rusher so far this year, and that record ain't going to be broken against the Chiefs. They have zero running backs.
No rushing game. Yep.
Maybe the Vikings game.
Their offense is Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
That's their whole offense.
Yep. 100%.
So there was a sack on the very first play of the game, but it was wiped out by a penalty, so the Packers would have finished this game with 3 sacks, only finished with 2. But they held for the following 3 plays, forced a 3-and-out. And the second drive was when they gave up that big play. Third drive, another 3-and-out. And then the fourth drive held up again, forced another punt after penalties. And then in the second half, Dean Lowry, one of the sacks we were just talking about, forced him into a 3rd and 16 situation. Isaac asked for Island Boys.
Oh, don't even do that. Don't compare us to those two, okay?
Huh?
I'm going to say it. They look like meth babies, okay? I'm just going to say that. That's what they look like.
That was mean.
Who said it?
There's these freaking YouTube stars, and they're like, I'm Island Boys, and like they got super famous. Like they're like millionaires now. And they just say the same word in this rap song. Oh my God. Isaac, I'm so mad right now, dude. Don't call me an Island Boy ever again.
He's laughing.
About Quentin Ernie.
It's better than Island Boys.
I don't know what that is, so I'm just
Don't look it up.
I'm going to ignore that comment, Isaac.
I saw it on Instagram.
So this is the first drive of Arizona's second half, and they're backed up to a 3rd and 16. And this is where I was wondering, and I wanted to ask you, do you think Kyler Murray was feeling some pressure at that point that he forced the ball that got tipped and intercepted?
Well, I said it in the game chat that Gary needed to get half of that interception because he immediately got in there and forced that pressure. And right away, Kyler Murray was just like, oh, I got to get rid of it. And thank God he's only like 4'2", so he tried to like compensate for that. And that's also why there was a face mask on that first sack. Because a regular quarterback, you're hitting him right here, right? Mm-hmm. Rashawn Gary's just trying to grab jersey, but because he's 4'2", he grabbed face mask. But I think he was feeling pressure. Gary definitely deserves half that.
So I think Kyler Murray is feeling 2 types of pressure in that situation. Not only was he feeling the quarterback pressure, but I think he's also feeling the pressure of that game. When you're the last undefeated team in the league, you're facing a depleted Packers team, and you're down 3. I think he's feeling some pressure on his shoulders.
And no Hopkins?
And no Hopkins at that point. So, you're down 3 points at this point.
Yeah, but
he forced himself back into that game. He didn't ask the coaches.
He said because Cliff was trying to shut him
down.
They
were trying to keep him off the field, and he just ran out. So if he misses a game, that's how you're
trying to win a Week 8 game. Like, come on, dude. You got to think about the big picture at that point, man. But as a competitor, it's hard to keep you out.
After the Packers scored their touchdown, they actually had good kickoff coverage once. You know how happy I was to see the Packers have good kickoff coverage?
It was pretty weird, wasn't it?
It was really weird, but I was happy. So then the last drive of the game, like we said, they had to go 99 yards to get to the touchdown, and it was really the tempo. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on that it was the tempo of Arizona's offense in the last drive that kept their ball moving, because up until that point, they really didn't have a whole lot going for them.
No, when they went up tempo, that's really when they got their rhythm. That was really the only time.
That was
They did it a couple times.
That was the only time that the Packers their defense was on their heels.
Yeah.
That was the only time it didn't feel like the Packers were playing downhill. It felt like they were being pushed back.
I think that's where not having our defensive coordinator really, really hurt us because he's going to be able to, because he understands the whole defense, right? You have your specialists in each group, and they did a phenomenal job. I'm not saying they did a bad job at all. Holding this Arizona offense down was really, really tough. But having your D coordinator on there that can really see things on the field and understand his experience would have really taken over in that situation, I think. So I think that's where we missed Barry.
You're going to get it in the cage.
Yeah, we have a pie bet coming at the end of the show, too, so definitely stay tuned to that. But let's talk about players that impressed you in this game.
Oh, God. I don't know if we have enough time. I mean,
throw out as many as you want.
I mean, Rasul Douglas was
Rasul Douglas has to be
the defensive player of the month in the NFC, Devontae Campbell, he's always impressive. The entire D-line group, how many times we've talked about them. The offensive line holding serve.
Offensive line only gave up one sack the whole game.
They've been amazing since missing Bakhtiari and Jenkins being out, for a couple weeks.
I hope he plays.
I don't think he didn't practice again today, did he?
I
saw yesterday.
I'll talk about it.
I think I saw yesterday he didn't practice. But
Bakhtiari practiced yesterday.
Bakhtiari did. I know he was getting stretched out. Josh Myers. We're missing a number of people in the offensive line. So in football, if you control the line of scrimmage, the D-line, the offensive line, and, the Packers of the past, we always make the championship game, right? What happens when we get there? A more physical team punches us in the mouth, and the Packers kind of lay down because we've always really been a finesse team. We got the pretty Aaron Rodgers throwing the pretty spirals down the field. That doesn't work in the NFC Championship game. You got to get dirty. My dad taught me this a long time ago. Back in the Favre days, who was their guards back then?
Aaron Taylor, Mike Wall, Rivera.
But I remember Mark Rivera and Mike Wall. Because I'm at it. But anyway.
Aaron Taylor, he was nasty.
On the offensive line, they always had somebody that was willing to get dirty and willing to fight. And you need that in your big boys. Willing to get dirty, get that extra push, get in the opponent's heads because some of these guys are mentally weak. So when you get to the NFC Championship game, we're going to need to be the more physical, tougher team. Because what happened with the Buccaneers and the 49ers the last 2 years? Personally, I think they out-physical us. That's how I feel.
Especially with their defense.
Yeah.
All right, so basically, everybody that Jake said, the other two I just wanted to add were the running backs. I'm going to throw out a stat when we get into the preview that really has impressed me with the running backs. So, you want to throw out any players that disappointed you in this game? We talked about it a little bit before the show, but
I know what you're saying, and some people are going to say some wide receivers and stuff like that. But to me, for them not being in a live game action, just getting thrown in like that, that's tough, man. That's a really tough situation.
Amari Rodgers is a rookie too.
Yeah, and Winfrey, he's young. He hasn't had a lot of playing time. That's a tough situation to be in, man, to just get thrown into the fire like that.
Yeah, so then for me, the only player that I was really disappointed in was a guy that didn't even play in this game, and that was Jalen Smith. So, the only reason I have for Jalen Smith to be disappointed in him is because we saw what could be, and we got excited for what could be. We were excited for a third Smith brother, and he's got speed. We need that at the inside linebacker position. We haven't had that. We've been missing inside linebackers. No. Thankfully, we had Devontae Campbell, who was named NFC Defensive Player of the Month. So we have somebody in the middle, but Chris Barnes has been a little underwhelming, and it's just been kind of a revolving door at that other middle linebacker position. But, all things considered, and especially when you consider the defense playing without the defensive coordinator in the building, I was not disappointed in anybody else.
No.
For maybe a smidge in some of the receivers that have no experience and then had to come in on a short week.
Right. Even what do you guys say?
I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Who was the last all-pro inside linebacker for the Packers?
Who was the last all-pro inside
Not
linebacker?
Pro Bowler, all-pro.
I freaking Ray Nitschke. Is it?
That's how long it's been.
Dude, the Packers, oh my God.
So
if I see one more Packers fan say AJ Hawk was good, I'm going to lose my shit. I swear to God.
What?
AJ Hawk was good. He was not good. AJ Hawk was not good.
People that say AJ Hawk was good would probably also say that Blake Martinez was good.
He was the 5th overall pick. He was trash. By those standards. I'm just saying.
He made Pro Bowl. That's because he had
150 tackles. Yeah.
tackles.
And that's
8 yards
the
down the line.
That's exactly the same thing with Blake Martinez. Yeah, it's cool that he makes the tackles, but he should have made them 4 yards before they happened.
So part of it is scheme.
Yeah.
You need defensive line.
Packers are back there 4-3 for back now.
We have some good linemen now, so it helps the linebackers make the play a little closer to the line.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, we have a good line, and Jalen Smith and Chris Barnes aren't doing anything. So,
who's the other guy we got from Oregon State? He went to Buffalo.
are you
Oregon
talking?
State.
Yo, did this. It's a linebacker.
Linebacker?
Recently?
No, he was right before A.D. Hawk. Or right after.
Whoa, Nick Barnett.
Nick Barnett.
I don't remember him on Buffalo. I remember him on the Packers.
I remember him on Buffalo.
Oh, whenever he'd make a sack, he'd always go like this.
Nick Barnett was actually pretty decent. I remember him as a kid.
Nick Barnett would have been my guess, but yeah, going back to right, Nick Barnett was probably a pro.
He was okay.
And then the other guy who was on his way to maybe being an all-pro, Desmond Bishop.
Yeah, he had injuries.
He was pretty good. That's fair.
All right. Ready to move on? Do you have anything else you want to talk about the Cardinals game? No. All right. So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about the Packers offense versus the Chiefs defense. We're going to get into this as a collective before we break it down by just from Jordan Love. So let's talk about the Packers offense versus Kansas City's defense.
Okay. So I feel kind of bad for Kansas City because, they got Patrick Mahomes and, they waited a long time. You don't get star quarterbacks all the time. Packers fans, we've been lucky to have back-to-back. But that defense is just god-awful. The Chiefs' defense is terrible. They give up 4.6 yards per rush, which is the second worst in the NFL. And they give up 7.8 yards per pass attempt, which there's only 2 teams that give up more yards per pass attempt. That is the Jaguars and the Lions. When you're next to them in any defensive ranking, any ranking at all, you're bad. The Chiefs overall give up the most yards per play at 6.4 yards per play. The game plan for the Packers, run the ball. They're going to go shell defense. They're going to keep everything in front of them. Even though MVS is back this week, and Devontae, got cleared.
Is MVS back this week?
Yeah, he got cleared. He got cleared off. I don't know if
Has he been practicing?
I don't know if he's been practicing, but he got taken off the IR.
I knew he's designated to return, so his window is open, so he has to be back.
Lazard's definitely been practicing. And
Lazard is back for sure. Devontae is back for sure.
Yeah, they're planning on him playing Sunday. The thing about the Chiefs' defense, so I broke them down by the touchdowns they gave up. I got a little.
Here we go.
So they have given up 27 total touchdowns. 16 of those touchdowns are within 10 yards. So you give
27 touchdowns.
27 touchdowns. Yeah, it's crazy. 10 rush, 15 pass, 1 touchdown was an interception, pick 6, and 1 was a fumble.
I'm still stuck on 27 touchdowns in 8 games.
It's a lot.
That's a wow.
The Packers is, besides 1 game, is actually pretty decent. So the Chiefs in the red zone, right? I wanted to break this down too. The Chiefs in the red zone, because everybody talks about the Packers red zone defense, and it's been terrible. It's been better the last couple of weeks. But the Chiefs, 29 attempts, giving up 21 touchdowns. That's a 72% success rate, which is almost as bad as the Packers. But the Packers need to clean that up still. That's still something I'm picking on. The Packers, we're going to talk about the Packers defense real quick. They've given up 23 attempts and 18 touchdowns, which is 78%. But like I said, the last couple of weeks, they've really, really gotten better. But yeah, 27 total touchdowns. You want me to tell you the Packers real quick? Okay. So the Packers are giving up 22 touchdowns. They gave up 5 in week 1. So since week 1, we've given up 17, which is 10 less than that, which is crazy. They've given up 14 pass and 8 rushing touchdowns. Within the 10, they've given up the same amount of touchdowns within the 10-yard line. That speaks to the red zone defense. Yep. So right there, we're pretty even, honestly. The big difference in this game is going to be the turnovers. Patrick Mahomes leads the league in turnovers. I'm sure Tyler's got all the stats for that.
All right, so for me, a couple of the things that I want to mention in addition to what Jake said. First of all, Jake kind of already mentioned that this is going to be a run-heavy game. And this is where I have my stat that I'm going to throw up. Is the last 6 games, in 4 of those 6, the Packers have had more than 130 rushing yards.
I like that.
4 of the last 6, more than 130 rushing yards.
I like that.
So for people questioning why Aaron Rodgers has lower passing yardage numbers, because the running game, it's been I mean, you could almost throw out the word dominant.
Yeah.
And the 1-2 punch. I mean, can you think of a 1-2 punch in the NFL that's better than Aaron Jones and AJ?
I can name one that I think is probably pretty close to the Saints. With Mark Ingram back there now, he's good on the Saints. He's been very good on the Saints, and Alvin Kamara, obviously, he's really good.
Yeah.
That's probably the only one I can name off the top of my head. Can you name any running back duos better?
Any?
No? He's got nothing. He's stumped. I've never seen this guy stumped in my life.
No, I just don't think there is a better combination.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Cleveland, maybe, but they're
When they're healthy.
When they're healthy, Cleveland.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say them.
All right, that's fair. All right. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about, and I want to get your opinion on this with the offense, is what do you think the Packers do to replace Robert Tonyan? Because I saw a lot of people. All right, this is my turn now.
Yeah.
For everybody that
wait.
No,
It's okay.
It's the tight end discussion. So
that's awesome.
If you wanted Evan Ingram, I have. Why? We already have a guy on our team that you can put in a category of if they can hold on to the ball, they'll be great. Why would you want another one at the tight end position who can't block?
Yeah, he's definitely.
He can't block and he's drop prone. Why would you want to add that to the offense?
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean,
I'm
he
very happy we didn't
blocker.
trade for Evan Ingram. That would have made me upset.
Yeah, I mean, I understood because you wanted the receiving aspect of it, but I feel like our tight ends are fine. I mean, Curtis is high.
No.
Curtis is high. It's with 2
And
hearts.
he asked about how Jordan Love affects the running game.
We're just going to run it more. You'll hear about that in a second. I think it's just going to be tight end by committee. They're going to fit in where they fit in. They'll run big dog on those rollouts, under Guara. I mean, Daphne's been pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm excited for Dominique Daphne.
I know, I like him too. I mean, we still got a talented tight end group. We just don't have the guy that's the all of them into one. They all have their specialties. And Daphne's he can do a little bit of everything. He's just not super athletic or super good like Tonyan is, but I think we're going to be fine. We have Aaron Rodgers.
And, I mean, we have a super experienced guy in Mercedes Lewis, too. He's a great locker room guy. He's familiar with Rodgers. Rodgers trusts him. He's tons of experience. He's been in the league, 17 years?
Long time. 16 maybe.
16, 17.
Dinosaurs are nice.
Yeah, dinosaurs are nice. All right, so do you have anything else that you want to talk about with the offense? I mean, we're going to talk about Jordan Love, but they're going to do a lot of rhythm throws. I expect a lot of screens, a lot of slants, just stuff to kind of get them going. Just kind of hit the ground running a little bit. I mean, you can literally hit the ground running.
Yeah. I mean, having Bakhtiari back would be absolutely massive to have a clean pocket. But having a guy like Devontae, and I hope this doesn't kill Jordan Love because it kills Rodgers in moments where he seems to always be open, is going to be a good thing for him. But I don't want him to lock on to just one guy. I hope that, we call plays. Well, I hope we call plays where other guys are the key receivers so he looks there first. You can always have Devontae as a second option because he, like I said, he seems to always be open. So we'll have to see what happens, but I expect a lot of running.
All right, so let's flip it to their side, and let's talk about Packers defense versus the Chiefs offense.
I mean, the Chiefs the last couple of years, what have we seen? We've seen Tyreek Hill run really, really fast and give peace signs to people, and we've seen them, use Kelsey in the middle of the field a lot. He beats up that entire middle of the field, and that's kind of where you get in the tricky situation. But you have Devondre Campbell this year. You have Adrian Amos, who's played a lot better this year. I think we've really taken away a lot of that middle stuff. So if we can slow down that and keep a cap on the Tyreek Hills, they don't use Hardman the way that they should. They use him on jet sweeps and they use him on screen. He's fast. Why not just run him down the field? You know what I mean? But
They already have a fast down the field guy.
I know, but why not have two? Then if you shade the coverage over to one side, then you have a one-on-one with another fast guy. Now the defense is like, oh man, we can't just shade coverage over here. You have your middle guy. The Chiefs offense should still be going bonkers. That's all I know. Because you have a guy like Mahomes that can make every throw.
And he makes a lot of throws, except he throws the ball to both teams.
Yeah, he does. He has 12 turnovers this year.
He is the number one in turnovers in the NFL.
That's more than 24 teams his 12th turnover more in 24 teams.
Yikes.
That's 2/3 in the NFL.
So I texted you this today, that this year's Chiefs team reminds me of last year's Seahawks team.
Yeah.
A very leaky defense, and like through the first 6 weeks, Russell Wilson looked like a runaway MVP, and then he started turning the ball over like 4 times a game, like fumbling twice and throwing 2 picks a game. And now Mahomes went from MVP, Super Bowl, to turning the ball over a ton, and they have a very leaky defense. So the encouraging thing for this Packers defense is that Joe Barry is back. Matt LaFleur confirmed that in his press conference today. We talked about Devondre Campbell, who in the month of October, 45 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, an interception, 2 forced fumbles, 2 quarterback pressures, and 2 passes defensively.
Yeah, he's a stud. What else do you want me to say about the guy?
So
He's got cool hair too.
I mean, I'm gonna keep saying it until I can think of a better example or a better one pops up. But I think that's gonna be the free agent signing of the year.
Oh, no doubt. Like no doubt at all.
I mean, if you go from a guy who basically signed off of free agency who could end up being a defensive player of the year candidate in the NFC, I mean, he's going to be up against Aaron Rodgers. But
J.J. Watt was having a very good year for the Cardinals, but he always ends up
he
getting
got hurt. Yeah.
Just facts. I'm sorry. I like J.J. Watt.
This actually surprised me, and this is something that we said would aid a Packers Super Bowl run, is if the Packers can have a top 10 defense. Packers have the number 7 overall defense right now.
I know, dude. Right there. It says it
That's
right
weird. So
baby.
Packers have number 7 overall defense, and I said this to you before the show that the Chiefs had a tough time scoring 20 points against the Giants on Monday night.
Did you watch that game at all?
No,
It was
the Giants were playing. I was not watching.
it was hard to watch. I'll be honest. It was hard to watch that whole game. I fell asleep in the middle of the third quarter, woke up in the fourth quarter. I'll be completely honest with you. But it was tough to watch. The Chiefs they're not exciting this year. It's kind of like when you watch basketball and the Timberwolves are playing Steph Curry. You turn that game on because Steph Curry's going to shoot like 3 3-pointers, and you're like, that is not possible.
From this far behind the 3-point line.
Yeah, and it shouldn't go in. He turns around But Mahomes, he makes throws that you're just like, oh my God, that's crazy. And Tyreek Hill's fast. Usually you like watching this offense because they're explosive. I know it's tough to watch. And it's all just because of 2 high safeties. They're really keeping everything in front of them. And Mahomes is really struggling not being able to take those deep shots, man. Really, really struggling. So if we keep that in check, man.
What's wrong with the Chiefs? Their offensive line.
And they upgraded their offensive line.
They're young.
They went and got Orlando Brown from the Ravens, and it doesn't seem to be helping much.
And they got that guy from the Patriots. Funny or whatever.
Tooney.
Yeah.
Yep. He was one of my free agent targets when we did the free agency.
Yeah, they got
I
him
think
too.
he's hurt.
Is he still hurt? Well, and their right tackle's hurt right now. He didn't practice.
And so is their lead running back, but not like they run the ball anyways. But I mean, their
Well,
lead running back
they
is also
started
hurt.
to on Monday a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean,
That was a tough game.
so I don't know. Do you have any other defensive notes?
Hit Patrick Mahomes. That's it.
For me, it's win the turnover battle. So this is weird. I have a special teams note. Packers swapped long snappers this week.
Yeah, they did.
So they got rid of Hunter Bradley, and they brought in, I shouldn't say they brought in, but they elevated from the practice squad Stephen Wordle. And the interesting point about this that I wanted to make is that Stephen Wordle and Corey Bojorquez were both on the Rams in the Rams training camp together. So those two actually have some familiarity. So maybe that works out better. Maybe there's not so many low snaps. And it seemed like Bojorquez had a bad game. He was punting for upper 30s, low 40s instead of the 50s and 60s that we've seen. So maybe the long snapper helps, and he has the familiarity with Wordle. So that's my last note on the Packers. So let's do an X factor and then a score prediction.
Okay. So my X factor is going to be pretty obvious. It's going to be Aaron Jones. He had the 7 catches last week, the 15 carries. I'm going to look for similar production. And Aaron Jones is one of those guys, if in those 15 carries, he can break one that can go 80 yards. And he had a really, really good game. I wanted to say this, too. He had a really good game last time he played the Chiefs. He had a couple long pass plays. And he had one where he stepped out of bounds, which really sucked. Do you remember that? He stepped out of bounds. Like, it was like a 60-yard pass play. He stepped out of bounds like a 13, which really sucked. But he had a really, really good game last time we played against them. I think Devontae was out now that I remember that because we threw a lot to the running backs. I remember us throwing a lot to Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. But I'm looking for Aaron Jones to reproduce that same production he had.
So for me, the X factor is Jordan Love, and it's going to transition into this next part of this. But the Kansas City Chiefs have allowed 27 points or more in 6 of their last 8 games. That's a lot of points to give up. So for me, the X factor is Jordan Love, and that moves in perfectly into the next thing we're going to talk about. So what do you expect from Jordan Love? I have a lot of things that I want to talk about in different situations and post-game scenarios, but what are you expecting from Jordan Love?
Okay, so dream scenario, would I just love him to go out there and let it rip and just be throwing dimes and throwing deep and going crazy? Yeah, obviously I would. Any fan would love that. But I think they're going to play it safe on the ball again. A lot of checkdowns, a lot of underneath stuff, a lot of moving the pocket because we like to do that. We might actually hand off one of the jet sweeps this week because every week we run it about 15 times. We never hand it off, which sucks. But I expect them to be safe. Don't take any dumb chances.
Tyler said Devontae will be the X factor. I mean, you can't ever go wrong by labeling Devontae as an X factor, but I mean, you can put the ball in his hands and he'll show off his route running with the ball in his hands and break tackles.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a lot I want to talk about with Jordan Love. Jake's dad actually brought up some things before the show started, and some of the stuff that I want to get into is because either Jordan Love has a great game, and people are saying, okay, why didn't we trade Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos? Or he has a bad game, and people are like, oh, great, he's a bust. Now what are we going to do if Rodgers leaves after this year? So while there's also some win-win parts of this game starting Jordan Love, there's also a lose-lose situation here. And hopefully you watch our show and enjoy our show and what we call cautious optimism as opposed to taking the pessimistic approach right away. And if Jordan Love has a bad game and saying, oh my God, Jordan Love's a bust after one career start that he wasn't expecting to start until Tuesday.
On the road.
On the road at Kansas City.
Yeah.
On basically 2 days' notice coming into the middle of a year. So he's going to need time before you make any sort of judgment. We said the same thing with Joe Barry. I mean, if people had made assumptions off of Joe Barry after week 1,
he'd have been fired.
Yeah. And
there
now,
were people saying that.
Yeah, there were. That's why we don't do the knee-jerk reaction type stuff, and we don't do the really pessimistic reactions. So it's the same thing. If Jordan Love plays well, the thought process there is, okay, now we have somebody ready for when Aaron Rodgers does decide to retire or leave in free agency, like whatever happens with that. We have a guy that we have groomed to be ready. It doesn't need to be we need to trade Rodgers now because Jordan Love had one good game. So I guess the takeaway is don't overreact in either direction and temper your expectations a bit.
Do you want to know when I learned this lesson to not have a knee-jerk reaction? There was a certain person, I was still in high school, living at my dad's house. There was a person that came over to watch the Packers and Chargers game. This was the year that our defense was absolutely terrible. First drive of the game, the Chargers go down, they march right down the field. Phillip Rivers was pretty good that year. The Chargers had a very good offense that year. They marched right down the field, they scored a touchdown. Right away, the person at the house, I'm not going to name names, said, oh, we lost. The game's over. My dad looks at him, he's like, dude, that was the first drive of the game. Long story short, we ended up winning that game because Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson are amazing. So relax, settle down. It's going to be one game. And if we lose, don't take it out on your wives, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
So this
I like making that joke, sorry.
It's a similar situation going into the Arizona game. Like, I don't have any high expectations for the Packers as a team. I'm not expecting the Packers to go in and win this game by double digits.
No, absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers lost this game. Spoiler alert, I don't actually think the Packers will lose this game. But it's not, the sky will not fall if the Packers lose. So, I see Jake's score prediction. All right, you throw yours out first.
Well, I got to be honest. I'm a bit of a homer when it comes to the Packers. They have a big, big slice of my heart. The other half is my daughter, so it's Packers and my daughter. That's it. Nobody else. So
I see how I feel.
I'm just kidding. When I wrote this down, it hurt my soul. But I actually did pick the Chiefs to win 20-17. It's gonna be low scoring, a little bit ugly, but I don't know. I don't know if Jordan Love has enough magic in his arm to will us to a win.
Maybe he'll change your mind on that.
I hope so.
I have like a page and a half of notes on Jordan Love.
I know. I've seen that. That's not enough.
So my score prediction for this game, I have the Packers 27-24, and I threw out that stat about the Chiefs giving up 27 or more in 6 of their last 8 games for a reason. And this run game, the run game itself could do this. And then you add in Jordan Love, who was a first-round draft pick, and there's reasons why he was a first-round draft pick. So getting into Jordan Love, I watched today Todd McShay was talking about him with Max Kellerman, and he talked a lot about how he's doing better identifying coverage, identifying who safeties are, throwing in rhythm, using his eyes to look safeties off in certain situations, and his timing, footwork, all improved, and he looks good. I'm not ready to say he looks great or he's ready to be, the full-time starter in the Packers and trade Rodgers. That's not where I'm at.
Yeah.
But coming into this game now, what Jordan Love does well and what he did a lot well in the preseason games and in the limited action that he had in the Saints game, I'm really excited for this. Jordan Love is great in play action.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about this, where the Packers are going to be using the run game to set things up a lot, play action could be huge in this game.
Oh, 100%. We're going to try to run the ball. I do think Love's going to take a deep shot or two. I do think that to Devontae, get a one-on-one with Devontae, but we'll see if he's accurate with it. I hope
Jordan Love made some really, really nice throws in the preseason.
Hey, so you still going to do that Saturday morning?
Then listening to Tom McShay talking about how he's got a big arm. He's a big person. He's 6'3", 6'4".
He got compared to Mahomes coming out of Utah State.
Yes, he did.
So it's actually kind of funny that he's playing against Mahomes. His first career start against Mahomes.
That's balance. A good point.
Yeah.
He's got a good pocket presence. He's not afraid when the pocket collapses. He's ready to step up into the pocket. So he's a good pocket presence. He takes a calculated approach to the game, so I don't think he's going to be turnover prone. I really don't. I can see him throwing maybe one interception. He made that bad choice in the Bills game, the preseason.
Yeah.
That's something that's, you talked about with the offensive line, where that's an up here thing, and that can be corrected.
Yeah.
So Jordan Love's physical talent is there, and this is where I'm coming back to LaFleur on this now, is if the Packers can go into this with Jordan Love as the quarterback and win this game, Matt LaFleur, who already should be near the top, rocket to the top of where Coach of the Year discussions are going.
I haven't seen him on. Have you seen him on any of the list?
Dude, Mike McCarthy was on the list. He doesn't even call plays for his offense.
I was like, Mike McCarthy.
Why is Mike McCarthy on the list for Coach of the Year?
Oh my God, I almost puked when I saw that.
Don't do that.
I'm serious.
That offense is not because of Mike McCarthy. That offense is because of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is their play caller.
I'm not gonna lie, Dak Prescott's pretty damn good.
Dak Prescott's good, and they have good receivers and a good running back, but
they're kind of loaded everywhere, let's just be honest.
Their offense is good.
Yeah, their offense is good.
And Mike McCarthy is not their play caller.
Besides Tampa Bay, what they played tough for.
They're in the worst division in football.
The Patriots aren't that bad, are they? The
Patriots are 500.
Yeah, they're not that bad, and they were on the
The
road.
Patriots took them to overtime.
Yeah, they're not that bad. But
With a rookie quarterback.
that's really the only other team I can think of.
So, who have they really played?
That's a good point. Cowboys. Who have the Cowboys played?
Do I
Tampa Bay.
think Dallas is going to do anything in the playoffs? No. And I've said this. If we lose this game and Dallas gets number 1 seed, okay, go ahead. Because Rodgers owns that stadium, too.
I hope Dallas meets the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. That would be
That'd be a bloodbath.
That would be ugly.
Actually, the Rams
I kind of hope that happens. That would be fun.
The Rams is the one team I don't want to play in the playoffs. Because, when I was watching the Buccaneers a couple times this year, Brady didn't look like last year. He's kind of turned the ball over. He's a little bit slower in his progressions. That was without Gronk a couple times, and Gronk's his best friend.
That's his guy.
Yeah, that's his guy.
And Antonio Brown is his other guy. He doesn't have him either.
Yeah, I know, but
I have to rely on Mike Evans.
Tom Brady hasn't looked as good to me this year that he did last year. It's just my personal opinion, I guess. Maybe because I hate him. But.
All right, so Andy Herman actually put out a tweet that's a very valid point, was that Mike White and the Jets beat the Bengals this weekend. Trevor Siemian and the Saints beat the Buccaneers this weekend.
Yep.
And Cooper Rush and the Cowboys beat the Vikings this weekend. There's no reason to think why Jordan Love and the Packers, who have talent all over their roster and a good defense, can't beat the Chiefs this weekend.
That's fair.
So Andy Herman put that tweet out, and that was a good thing. And, I said it when we did the preseason during all the Aaron Rodgers drama, that I believe that the Packers could win this division with Jordan Love as their quarterback.
I mean, if the NFC East wasn't anything, our division's freaking god.
That's the point. I mean, the Packers have 7 wins, and the rest of the NFC North has 6. Shout out Detroit, who has 0, which is funny.
Oh my God, Detroit is such a mess. They're still biting kneecaps over there.
Are they still biting kneecaps?
They're probably missing. They have 0 wins, but the Bears are a mess.
They shoot them all up.
Fields is not the answer. What the hell's going on in Minnesota, dude? I don't understand. Every year in the offseason, it's the same thing. It's the Vikings. Oh, the Vikings this and the Cowboys this and Tom Brady. It's those 3 all offseason, and then they come to the regular season.
The Bears' offensive line still is not good.
The Bears' offense is not good.
Until we ever address that, no quarterback will be successful there.
That's fair.
All right, so
and the number 1 receiver is slow. Aaron Rodgers.
I watched both of LaFleur's press conferences, yesterday's and today's, and he talked about Jordan Love improving as a play caller and just operating from the playbook. And what I think is going to be with Jordan Love in this game is the Packers are going to run the ball a lot, early, often, run the ball, and then they'll start to work in some like slants and screens. So as this game goes on, even quarter by quarter, I expect, this is what I'm thinking, is that the playbook will open up as the game goes. So the first quarter, it's going to be a lot of run heavy, get Jordan Love's feet wet, get the jitters out, and then start getting him some short rhythm throws, or the screens, the slants, stuff like that. Build up his confidence, build up his rhythm, his timing, and then as the game goes on, start using that play action. And then maybe that's the later in the game, like Jake said, they take a couple deep shots. So as this game goes on, I can see the playbook opening up more and more as Jordan Love gets comfortable and gets his feet wet and gets the jitters out. So that's my thought process with Jordan Love in this game. And Matt LaFleur talked about all of the players preparing as starters, and that's a big thing with how all of these guys have stayed ready through all of these injuries. Is all guys preparing as if they're going to be starters. So Matt LaFleur talks a lot about preparation, and he mentioned even last year with all the COVID stuff about the Broncos starting a wide receiver at quarterback last year. So before they brought in Blake Bortles, like if for any reason Jordan Love or Blake Bortles are unable to play this game, Randall Cobb at quarterback time.
I know. Because he played quarterback in college.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur is aware of the fact that their wide receivers used as quarterbacks last year. So I'm thinking that Randall Cobb has at least been probably made aware that if stuff happens, that he's got to be at least ready just in case.
That would be an ugly game to watch if that happens.
It would be weird.
It'd be an ugly game to watch. That's all I know.
I mean, it would be better than watching Amari Rodgers. He's left-handed, so that's weirder.
Isn't Randall Cobb left-handed when he throws?
I don't know.
I thought he threw one pass. He's left-handed. Yeah, he's left-handed.
Oh, they're both weirdos.
Yeah, he's left-handed, yeah. Hey, my stepson is left-handed,
yes,
man.
And that's weird. My mom's left-handed, too, and it's weird.
My grandma's left-handed. I love my grandma.
I bet it would be weird to watch
So would the
football
grandma.
with it.
It's weird.
It would be weird watching her throw football with it.
Yeah, it would. Actually, her holding a football in general would be pretty awkward.
All right, so do you have anything you want to talk about left with Jordan Love?
No, I trust Matt to put a good game plan together. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL, so run the ball, and Matt's got some big old balls, so I hope he throws a deep pass right away.
I think you guys are wrong, and I think they're just going to.
You think they're going to open it up?
But it'd be like Rodgers.
I hope he just throws a deep one right away and just
Especially
gets a little
if NBS is back and Lazard.
Yeah.
I mean, Lazard is back.
Yeah, Lazard.
He's off the COVID list, so he's going to have Devontae and Lazard for sure.
That'll definitely help.
All right, so I mean, the last thing that I wanted to say was Matt LaFleur said it probably 50 times in 2 press conferences that all the guys are rallying around Jordan Love, so he's got the support of the team. So, I mean, they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited for Jordan Love, man.
So, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit, just some injury report stuff. Obviously, Rodgers and Kurt Benkert are out. Devontae's in. Lazard is in. Joe Barry's in. Bakhtiari and Kevin King practiced on Wednesday. I couldn't find if Bakhtiari practiced today, but Kevin King practiced today. He's a full participant. Jack Heflin did not practice yesterday, but he did practice today. Dean Lowry practiced today. Kingsley Keke did not practice, so the fact that Jack Heflin is practicing is good news. Kingsley Keke is in the concussion protocol. And MVS practiced on Monday, but I couldn't find anything else for the rest of the week. Now, with this injury report, the one thing that I want to mention is David Bakhtiari, who has returned to practice, but Matt LaFleur said he is intentionally not saying. He knows whether Bakhtiari is going to play or not, but he's not going to say to make Kansas City prepare for both scenarios.
I think he's playing.
This is the game that I wanted him to come back for. I didn't want him to come back for the Arizona game on the short week. You get the mini bye that gives him 10 days to rest up for the next game. So this is the game that I had circled for him to come back. And I think he's going to play, but Matt LaFleur is not going to tell anybody until the final injury report an hour before game time.
Watch him not play now, because I think he's going to play. He probably won't play now.
I could see him playing a drive or two.
Yeah.
Pull a Craig Counsell with Wade Miley, put him out there for one pitcher and for one batter, and then pull him.
Sure.
Because they're not going to risk injury.
That's a good point.
So, they may wait and see how the field is, what the weather is there.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to wait until the final injury report an hour before game time. They'll list him as a game time decision.
I think he sees a little action.
I didn't even do the
It may not be a whole game.
I didn't have a banner for it.
Yeah, it's okay. Good. I forgot to do the weather report.
It's because he doesn't have the blazer yet.
I'm Jake Burgundy.
Yeah, Jake, yeah. All right.
Oh, boy.
So,
yes, you are.
The last thing that we're going to talk about is the Aaron Rodgers COVID situation. Do you want to give your thoughts on it? I have a lot of technical stuff to talk about.
I mean, Rodgers, it's tough. I don't want to, piss anybody off, I guess. But Rodgers has always been kind of his own guy. I mean, he went against his own family, for God's sakes. He thinks for himself. He does what he thinks is right for himself, and I support that. Everybody, it's his body. He can do whatever he wants to do. But my dad's showing me the weather right
67 and sunny.
67 and sunny on Sunday in Kansas City. But he tried to get this special treatment from his doctor, adding extra antibodies and seeing if that was okay. And he told the NFL about it. So for anybody that's saying that we should have lose draft picks or Rodgers should get fined, the NFL knew about it. He went to them directly. They mulled over it for a couple weeks, and they decided that it wasn't good enough. So Rodgers is his own man. He can do whatever he wants. It's his body. I'm not going to judge him on his decisions.
All right, so Aaron Rodgers, actually, I'm going to talk about Matt LaFleur first. Matt LaFleur said in the football facilities, the Packers said he's 100% confident the Packers have followed all of the rules that the NFL set out. He said he has not heard any bad feedback from the NFL on any potential violations of any of the rules. Now, everything that I've seen with Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't violated any rules either. He's still doing the daily testing. He's masked up when he's in close contact with guys, and he didn't break any of the other rules. So I'm watching it. I was reading an article on The Athletic, and one of the writers there highlighted a section of the COVID rules, which is 96 pages long, by the way. The COVID rules for the NFL is 96 pages. But one section was highlighted for unvaccinated players, and the situation was you can have a gathering with no more than 3 or more players outside of the facility. You can be in a bar as long as there's 10 or less, or a club with 15 or less, and you're wearing a mask. Now, the one thing that I saw a lot was the Halloween party, but the only 4 players that were there that are for sure known were Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, David Bakhtiari, and Aaron Rodgers. So that's Aaron Rodgers, and there's your other 3. That's not breaking a rule. Now, I saw a couple people were commenting about he's walking up to get on the plane without a mask on. There's nothing to say that he didn't walk into the plane and then put one on. So I'm not saying that there's no proof that he didn't break any rules, but there is no proof that he didn't break any rules. So you can't just throw it out there that, he probably didn't wear a mask on the plane, or there could have been more players at the Halloween party, but he hasn't broken any rules. So to say that he's going to get suspended or fined, or the Packers are going to get fined, or find a draft pick, they didn't break any of the rules. They're still following all the protocols.
I heard with the preseason games, since he wasn't dressed,
Just
that
to
he was
play.
supposed to have that he was supposed to have a mask on, and he didn't wear one in the preseason.
I actually didn't
I
hear
don't know.
that.
But that,
I haven't
that,
seen anything about the
that
preseason
was the only thing I heard
Everything that
about
I've read
that.
has been about the team facilities and outside of the team facilities, basically. So I don't think there's going to be any fallout from the league on this.
I wouldn't expect it either. I mean, if they're following the guidelines of he's wearing the mask inside the building,
He's doing the daily testing, mask when close contact.
I mean, what more can you do besides really just getting the physical shot? That's the last step you can do.
And the Packers are over 88% vaccinated on the team, so they're over that. Major League Baseball had a similar thing where if you were over 85% vaccinated, your players didn't have to wear masks in the dugout or the clubhouse. The Packers are over that threshold. So, I mean, the only thing that really comes out of this is that Aaron Rodgers can't play this week and maybe the Seattle game. Matt LaFleur said he's going to strictly focus on one game at a time. So there's going to be nothing else that comes out of this situation until after the Kansas City game. So, I mean, that's basically where we're at right now.
Yeah. No. There's no need in assuming anything else until we hear more news.
Right. And honestly, if this situation, I want to see if you agree with me on this, is if the Packers win this game and then the following week play Seattle, if Russell Wilson doesn't play that game, do you just hold Aaron Rodgers out because he's eligible to come back the day before?
I think, plain and simple, if you win this game, I think you still just hold Aaron Rodgers out. That's really how I feel. Because he's not eligible to come back until the 13th, which is Saturday, the day before they play the Seahawks. And he's Aaron Rodgers, so I'm not doubting him.
Right.
He could come back in one day, and they could just be like, hey, okay, we ran this check, this check, this
He
check.
can prepare.
And Rodgers is just like, okay, I got all that, so I'm super smart. But I think you just run with Jordan Love 2 weeks in a row. You give Aaron that extra little rest. We got our bye coming up after a very physical game against the Rams. That's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah.
And then we have a bye after that, so you just let Rodgers rest up because it's 37 and these hits hurt a lot.
Yeah, and you give him a little break in the middle of the season, and you find out what Jordan Love needs to improve on.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited for that, is to see, if he doesn't play well, what the Packers still get out of that is they find out what Jordan Love needs to improve on by playing an actual game and not just a preseason.
Okay.
What about if we lose?
And you find out,
Then you want Rodgers to play? So you're saying best case scenario if they win.
worst case scenario, I would say, is Jordan Love plays so bad that you feel that you need to start Blake Bortles against Seattle. And I really don't see that.
I'm talking about for the Seattle game.
Yeah,
He's saying if we lose versus the Chiefs, do we still rush Rodgers back?
If he's eligible.
Even like say Jordan Love has like a decent game.
I still say he's not coming back from an injury.
There's a 4-game lead in the division. I don't think you need to at 7-2.
Yeah, but don't you want to be the number one seed? It's one thing losing an AFC game, but losing an NFC game, that makes it even more with the tiebreakers. And
here goes to this damn logic and shit, man. Golly, man. That's tough.
I don't know.
I would still say you start Jordan Love. That's probably just the safest bet. You just give him the first team reps.
Probably Jordan Love.
Don't rush Aaron Rodgers back. He's still the boss. If you have, he's the GM. He's an owner.
Where are you rushing him from? He's not hurt.
I know, but having one day.
We also don't know if he has any symptoms though.
Is he well?
That's true.
That we don't know. So.
Yeah, take that logic, boy. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think of that logic. I got my sidekick, boy.
I'm the sidekick?
No, we're both sidekicks.
No, you are Robin.
All right, I'll be Robin. He has a cooler looking suit anyways. I
think one of you is Bert Murray.
Yes.
I didn't watch Batman, so.
They rock.
You know who Batman and Robin are.
I do, but
I'm Batman.
I don't think Batman's that. Okay,
we're gonna do.
We're going to do last week for Halloween.
We're going to do a bonus episode. We're going to rank superheroes because I love this discussion. And Batman is nowhere in my top 10. I'm just going to give a spoiler.
Nowhere in the top 10?
Nowhere in the top 10.
Wasn't that in your top 10?
Dude, he's only a superhero because he's rich. He doesn't even have any powers.
Neither does Iron Man.
Yeah, but he's like funny.
Wonderful toys.
Oh, but he's funny. So being funny is a superpower?
Yeah, that's
so you and I are superheroes?
It's better for the movies, okay?
I don't care.
All That's good.
I mean, Batman's he's a detective.
You know, you
Like the
need
world's
to
greatest detective.
succession that guy from the Brewers.
This is what's happening now. We have transitioned from Packers. We promised Packers only, and now we're talking about Batman.
Superheroes.
Oh, I want to talk about Bert and Ernie. You want to talk
Yeah,
about
we're not doing
Batman.
that. We're not doing Bert and
You're
Ernie.
not doing Bert and Ernie, I'm sorry.
I will briefly entertain Batman and Robin, but I will not do Bert and Ernie.
This is why he's getting a pie.
Yeah.
Logic and Bert and Ernie? No, none of that.
So what is
Now you get
Jake's
pie in the face. That's a bonus episode. That's what he said.
I want to say, what is Jake's top 5 superheroes?
You know what we should do? We should do superheroes, and if they were professional athletes, who they would be.
Actually, that's really good. I like that.
Future bonus episode, writing itself. All right. Last thing we have to do today.
We're going to do superheroes and if they're professional athletes.
Professional athletes if they were superheroes. But we have one last thing on the agenda tonight. Jake and I are going to get out of the way, and Jake's dad's going to get a pie in the face for not guessing correctly on the hot dog eating contest for 4th of July weekend.
I'm guessing last next year. I'm going to play like Price is Right. 1.
That's why I took the. Oh, he's going to sit. All right. 2 pie bets this week. 1 for Curtis yesterday, or 2 for Curtis yesterday.
Yeah, we're getting 3
Curtis
pies.
took 2 yesterday.
Maybe one behind your head so you don't have to clean up the lines. Or and then make it so that it's staying back there.
Well,
Yeah, Jake and I.
how hard are you going to hit me?
All right, here.
There you go. Thank you.
How hard is this going to be?
We just hold it tight so it doesn't go over his head.
Right. Oh, I get to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Right.
This is my stepmom, Christine. She's a wonderful
Oh,
lady.
you only saw her hand though, but she's here.
Right.
That's all we need to see of
We got the
her.
laptop and the phone out of the way there. All right, here we go.
It's moving around here. You ready?
Oh,
I want more whipped cream on there.
He wants more whipped cream.
He's trying to soften the landing.
Logic.
He wants more.
It's a pumpkin pie underneath all the
I'm
whipped cream,
not
so
ready for this play.
All right, here we go, baby.
You gotta hold the controller tighter, Jake.
I said,
It's sliding.
Oh, it's sliding off. You just gotta hit it.
Just give him the business.
No countdown.
Go.
Go.
Close your eyes.
hit me, man. That didn't work. Come on.
Give it to Jake. Give it to Jake. Oh,
my
splash
God.
zone.
There's a nose breath.
Oh,
All right, we're gonna let Jake's dad get cleaned up.
I bought pumpkin pie because it had a really good
It's
base.
heavy.
And I
You can't
want,
even brick.
I know.
You can still eat it.
I wanted to do that because he broke my neck last time. It hurt very bad. I still have sleeping problems.
All right, thanks everybody for watching, and we had fun. So, thanks everybody for watching. Go Packers.
Go back.